We get everything else prepared for today's show.
I normally have to do 2 hands up.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thrivecast. This is Stuart Joseph, and I'm joined in studio with Randy Wynglass and my friend Will Cromwell. Will, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, man.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, man. Besides being my good friend and all that, who are you, man? What are you doing?
Man, I'm a person with multi-talented trades.
That's true.
I work at a law firm. I do music.
Yeah.
I'm all about giving back to the community. I'm a great father, an excellent father, actually, and a good friend to anyone who is like fortunate enough for me to meet.
Yeah. I'll test that.
You're just a well-rounded good guy that believes in people, and I don't think I ever give up on people or the good in them.
Right.
That's who I am.
Yeah. And you're currently in the process of starting your own little organization.
Yes.
And getting the ball rolling with that.
Yes.
What kind of workshops you guys going to be doing?
We're going to do some creative workshops,
Okay.
Art, music, videography, a couple of health and wellness workshops, because a lot of these things are being taken for granted or taken out of school. So, and a lot of kids, people don't understand that, for me, I grew up eating fried foods and greens and all that good stuff, but no one told me 50 years from now, I'll probably have a heart attack from this food.
Right.
So a lot of these kids need to know about health and wellness. Yeah. So we're going to teach them about proper eating to keep that energy level up, because when you don't feel good, you don't think good. So you don't think good either.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, with that organization, the arts, the health and wellness, and the basic financial education. So it's more life skills.
Yeah.
So they don't just leave high school or college and go on into the real world not ready for life, because a lot of us are not prepared. I'm 31 now and I'm just getting there. So, I think the earlier and the sooner the younger adults or adolescents learn, the better.
It's so true, man. Imagine if, the stuff that we know now, I mean, me and you knew each other in kind of like another life, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we would have known the stuff that we know now back then, or even younger, imagine what our life would be at right now.
I imagine I can see reality. You're doing good.
Hard work pays off, man. Hey, so Randy, how you doing, man?
I'm blessed, man. I honestly can't complain. From that last radio show we did the first time on Fatherhood, I got some really good feedback. I got some really good insight from my conversation that we had. Really motivated and really pumped for this interview and to get some more information on to continue this series on fatherhood and just basically learning better ways on to be a better dad. So to answer your question, man, I'm doing great, man.
How's school going, man? Almost done?
School's going good. I end on May 22nd. So right now we're just like in midterms and finals and just finishing up these different things.
You not on spring break yet?
I'm on spring break this week. Spring break. And you're doing it up. I was gonna say, so with the graduation being completed in May, then I'll be starting a master's program in couples and family therapy. So in August, so I'll be on my way to being a therapist, so I can really put the lessons and the teaching and stuff that we're doing on these radio shows in practice.
Yeah.
So really.
And congratulations for getting accepted into that master's program too, man.
I really appreciate that. It's not a lot of people in Detroit from my neighborhood who are even graduated with a high school diploma. So just to have college education and, even my family, like my parents didn't even graduate from college. So just to have that under my belt, it really gives you a whole lot of confidence when you're dealing with people, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what brought us here together today, gentlemen? We're all here to talk about something that is very near and dear to all three of our hearts. Right? We're here to talk about fatherhood. And we're not just talking about fatherhood, but we're going to talk about co-parenting. We're going to talk about situations that we might have been going through or are currently going through as it pertains to getting custody of our children. We're kind of laying it all out on the table here. You're going to hear a lot of personal stories from the experiences myself and Will have gone through, in a sense, kind of trying to prepare Randy for what he's about to endure, but at the same time, answering all the questions that we can answer that he might have going through his head right now. So this is kind of a real raw, uncut. There's no questions. The only person you can see on the YouTube video, the only person here with any kind of papers in their hand is Will, and that's just because he wants to make sure that he connects on the conversation that we all had on Facebook not too long ago, about a couple days ago. And I mean, I guess the best way to do it is just kind of be like, Randy, the floor is yours, man.
Right. So basically, from the last series, Will, that we were concluding on talking about how tools and about how a lot of younger boys don't really know when they don't have a father around what tools that they need in order to be able to build a constructive relationship with their children when they do have children.
Mm-hmm.
So just from your experiences being a father yourself, what helped you learn those tools so that way you could be able to apply those in your own life with your children?
With my daughter, I would say the first thing a man must learn is patience. Mm-hmm. And it's key, because if you don't have patience, you can overreact. I have a daughter, so she is very emotional.
Right. How did it
she's 8 years old.
Okay.
So I was raised in a pretty tough background. Really didn't ever heard the words "I love you" or got hugs, and that carried over into my adult life. So that was another thing I did, was express and show her that I love you. Mm-hmm. But I also set up boundaries, right, so she wouldn't walk over me. Right. It was a battle and it took some time, but just staying persistent and just keep going with it, and remembering that this is a kid, this is not an adult. Right. Right. So you cannot expect them to think the way you think. Right. And you have to just keep in your heart that you do your best. You're gonna put your best foot forward, and you're gonna show her, this is him, your child, that I love you, but I'm also your parent. I cannot be your friend all the time. Right. So that's where, in my opinion, parents cross the line and they try to be the child's friend, and then the child loses respect for them. Right. And now you don't have any boundaries, or you try to tell them what to do, and they're like, nah, I thought we were AFFs. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, you better get your act together. You're gonna be standing in the corner. So yeah, man, if I had to give somebody one thing, I would say, man, practice your patience. Right. Meditate. Meditate with your child. Right. So they understand what it means when you say, hey, we need some time out right now. Yeah. Just gonna sit here and clear our minds for the day. Right. See, the whole thing is, from what I've seen, and I did it myself, I'm guilty. Putting my daughter in front of SpongeBob, in front of a cartoon, because I want to do my own thing and she wanted to play. So the only way I get my free time, throw on a cartoon. Right. Right. How come I didn't pick up something or read a book to her, something that we could do together? Because that time you don't get back, man. Right. You don't. And before you know it, they go from being able to be held in your hand to, man, daddy, I'm by your chest, right? Your chest. Right. You're like, word, what happened to my little princess? Always my little princess. We're on a car and the car is gone. There you go, man. So yeah, man, patience is key to anything you do.
That's true. Yep. Really great words of wisdom. I was telling Stuart last show, being military at the time when I was active duty, when me and my ex-wife during the time were going through our divorce and our separation, we were having really a tough time trying to establish custody, because when you're active duty military, you can't, they won't let you get full custody of your child because of the deployments. So it was like during the time when I was just coming on my first deployment, going through my divorce, and I was just trying to work things out with my ex-wife at the time, trying to figure out how we're going to do custody. And it was so hard because in her mind, it was like she was so used to raising him on her own with me being gone for deployments and going for training. When I tried to come to her talking about custody, it was like, what do you mean custody? Even though I had always been there, even for her and her goddaughter, it was just like such a different experience for her because she's so used to doing everything on her own. So from coming from somebody who's not in the military and just who's a civilian, as far as dealing with custody, have you ever had any issues having to deal with custody or anything of that nature?
You know what? Best friends become worse enemies when you separate. And you add another human being to it, it complicates things a little bit more, or a lot more. Open communication and being honest is important, but yeah, a lot of lies start to fly. It's a battle that I personally have gone through 5 years to resolve. So you're talking being 15 minutes away from your child and can't see it for 3 weeks. You know, because the ex is playing games. And even though you have a court order, people don't understand you got to hold a person of contempt of a court order, which means that's a criminal case, which the other parent goes to jail. Now, is that something you want to do as a parent? No. So then they say, well, just call the police. Okay, you call the police and now you look like the bad guy because now the police is going to take your child away from the other parent to give it to you.
And the words that are going to come out of mommy's mouth is, your daddy did this.
The kid's crying. I don't want no stranger holding my child. You know, so the biggest thing is, I mean, no matter how tough things get, you gotta learn how to communicate with each other. You know, because and to keep it about the child, that I just want to be in my daughter or son's life. And, you know, I understand we have our disagreements. So you almost just switch your whole psyche about everything. And say, no matter what this person says to me, I'm gonna treat them like they're my best friend. Because at the end of the day, it can go either ways. You can get custody and start playing the games and be in the courts and all this drama, and the only person being hurt really is the kid. You know, why my parents can't get along. They growing up, sporting events come around, y'all don't get along. There ain't gonna be no, can't have both parents there. You know, so for me, that was the best, I mean, one of the best days of my life when we finally started getting along because of, I mean, I've been in court maybe 7, 8 times, and the drama doesn't stop just there. It goes on after the court, before the court. Both parents going back and forth, sending texts and emails, and you ain't no good. So, you know, but like I said, best friends become worse enemies when there's a child involved. And not all cases are like that, but since you said, you know, coming back into the life of the child full time. You never left. You was always there. But being there present, yeah, man, the best thing is to keep that line of communication open. And if you have to, you know, fake it till you make it, man. Treat them like they're your best friend.
It's so good you say that. I really commend you for being as honorable and respectful as you work on the process, because just me personally, I took it the opposite. I was really like pissed off, you know, at the fact that I felt like, you know, my wife at the time, here it is now we're fighting over, you know, my rights as a father, you know what I'm saying, which I felt like were already mine because I helped bring them into the world, I helped support, I helped take care of them. So I kind of had, especially being after the military, I had just came from deployment, I was really high-headed, really stubborn. I was like, what do you mean I can't see my damn kid, you know? So for somebody coming from like, I came from a whole different perspective, and at one point I even kind of wanted to give up, not necessarily on my son, but just on the process. Like, okay, maybe if I just sit back and I wait and I give it to God, things will fall in my lap. But when I did that, nothing happened. You know, it was like, you know, it was just me really marinating in my own sorrows and not really doing anything about it. So like I was saying, I really commend you for being able to take that initiative, because I didn't have any resources on what to do, who to go to, or who to learn from as far as to how to go about the whole court process. So did you have like any help with that at all?
You know, I did have a little input. Stuart had a friend named Adam who was a lawyer, and the first thing that Stuart told me about is there's like a father supporting group. So I went and Father Supporting Fathers. I believe that's the name of the group. So I went and started looking at laws, and the more research I did on fathers' rights, the more I built my own confidence of, okay, she can't just take my kid away. Because there's been plenty of cases back in the day where kids were just being up and moved because mom had more rights. So I just started asking questions and doing my own research, and you go to the mediation, and on the other hand, I kept my cool there, and the other parent was not so cool. So they're willing to work with you more because they're like, okay. I kept saying it's about my daughter. The other parent kept saying he ain't doing this and he ain't doing that and blah blah blah. Okay, well, I pay my child support, I take care of the kid, I got my receipts. So what am I not doing again?
Yeah, that's what you said right there, man. It's so incredible because that's one of the things. See, I paid like $3,000 before I went to the mediation to have a lawyer prep me, you know what I'm saying, to be ready for it, because I've never really, up until I had a radio show, and I'm still not really good with words, I've never really been good with words, and I've always, my facial expressions will show how I feel sometimes and things like that. So, and when it came to my baby moms, we were both pretty enraged each other, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know how to get in each other's nails. And I remember, what you just said right now, I'm just like, damn, I paid $3,000 for this, dude. And that's exactly what it is. They teach you, like, you do not point the fingers. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying my child, say our child. You know what I'm saying? And keep on making sure that you're letting it be known it's for our child. It's for our child. It's for our child. My opinion for our child. Never, ever, man, this bitch did this to me, so that way, fuck her. None of that shit.
You can say it to each other's face, but away from the child. But when you have a third person who has no attachment to you, or the other person, now guess what? She's only taking you at face value. Or
first impressions.
Face value.
So how does mediation work? Like you have one parent go in and they sit and they discuss.
It's like group therapy.
Oh wow!
Both parents and a mediator or a counselor. Unless there has been domestic violence between the two parents, and then they'll ask, do you want to come in separately? If there hasn't been, then they do really strongly recommend that you both go in there. So there ain't no, I didn't.
And it's good because they want to see how the parents react.
The dynamics is
like me. I remember I hated it. I do not want to do this. I do not, under no circumstances that I want to do it. And then afterwards, I was like, damn, that was actually pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? Because they like you said, to take you on face value, you're like, how you go in there and act is, and the scary part is mediation could determine the whole outcome of the court case. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much.
They listen to that mediator, 90% of what that mediator is going to say. And that's what's going to be the outcome of the court case, because that mediator got to have that one-on-one interaction with you, compared to the judge doesn't get that. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's interesting.
That mediator sitting there taking notes, watching you, analyzing you, how y'all interact, and you get a report back about what you said. So, you probably want to be careful with whoever, and watch what you say and keep it about the kid, because otherwise it'll wind up in your report. Father said this, mom said that, and then the mediator makes their recommendations. And like Stuart said, 90% of the time, the judge is going to go based on that. Now, they may take some things off and make a couple of adjustments, but if you can come to an agreement based off of the mediator, what they recommend, and sign off, both of you and the other parent, then you don't have to go stand in front of a judge.
That's what I was going to allude to, is the beautiful part about a mediator is if you guys could go in there, it wasn't like this for my situation, but if you can go in there, and because the mediator, I believe they even ask you the questions, like, what do you guys want? Like, what is the result of this that you guys want? If you can go in there and agree to terms together, it's, boom, court's over. You know what I mean? Or it could potentially be over, and it's just done deal. Let's just go sign this paperwork, and then we're good to go. But it doesn't work like that all the time. You know what I mean? You would love it to, but it doesn't work like that all the time. And the thing is because, and this is just my opinion, but when you're in a position, like when the relationship between you and your significant other is like, this is no more, and whoever goes and does the files the paperwork at the family law center and does what they have to do to get the custody of the child and stuff. When you get to that point where you're in they're booking a mediation session for you, that's really when it's time to screw me. It's all about, you know, Edward or whatever, you know, my daughter, my son. It's all about that individual. I'm not going to go into this mediation session and talk about all the things that she did that pissed me off, or all the things that, you know, gets under my skin, or, you know, she's only wants me to pay child support, all that stuff. No, all that stuff you need to leave out the window. You just need to, like, say that shit in the mirror before you go into that mediation session. Right. Because when you go in there, it needs to literally be about the best outcome for your child. That's it. That's all. As a man, if you go into that session as a man and you're able to do that, they're going to look at you in a different way, because of the simple fact that it's going to show that you're not the average barbaric, I'm the head of the household, I'm the king of this castle type of a male. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, you know, unfortunately, that's where society has gotten us right now, is because as men, we're known as these barbaric individuals. And that's why it's so easy for the woman to go in there and get full custody of their child and get you for child support and all that kind of stuff, because of the simple fact that you're buying into all those stereotypes. You're giving them life. You're giving them life when you go into the mediation session and you're talking shit.
Right. That's exactly how I treated my situations with my daughter's mother. Like, you know, we had altercations. We were both young and you know, and, you know, she was doing things I feel like was trying to put me in a position to lose my rights, because she knows if she knows not to have a 10 over my daughter, I'll have a temper, you know. And it's like, I have to teach myself, you know, it's like you said, Stuart, you hit it right on the head. Like, it's not about me, you know. The mediation process even starts before the mediation, you know, because you have to get your mindset in that place, you know, where it's like, okay, I'm not going to sit up here and text her back every time she says something back to me, or I'm not going to keep texting her if she doesn't text me back, or, you know, about my daughter. Like, you really have to look at yourself as a man and be like, all right, even though I may not be seeing my son or my daughter right now, I need to really take care of my mental health and take care of myself, so that way when the mediation does come, I'm in a good space. Because if you keep fighting with her, or vice versa, if the girl keeps fighting with the man and you just keep digging yourself in a deeper hole, you're going to lose your rights before you even get to the mediation, because they're going to have all this evidence against you in their cell phone, their emails, and their phone, and they're going to use it against you.
Let me chime in a little bit. You're not going to lose your rights based off of those things.
Oh, okay.
You as a parent, you have a right. This is a human being. This isn't a contract. This is a person. So
now, time out. Depending on what you say in those text messages could make it so where, you know what I mean? You're not going to see it. Like, oh,
well, to be honest, when I first started my second court after my daughter tried to move, my ex tried to move to Chicago with my child, the words got very heated, even in the court. You know, and the judge told me, you need to watch what you're saying. But they also understand there is a lot of emotions built behind this.
I feel it.
So they're not going to just write off your rights unless you're going to sign over and say, I give up. You know, I've seen cases since I've been there so many times, unfortunately, men who have put their hands on their child, and now they still get to see their child just under supervision until they prove that, you know, I'm no longer like that. So in order to take your rights away, that's a big deal. And I haven't seen it in my, I don't even know how many court appearances where someone has lost their rights because of the verbal exchange between the two parents. As long as you're not talking about you're going to physically hurt that child, you know, they're going to tell you to, y'all should probably.
And that's what I mean. People say things out of emotion sometimes that they never mean. And I can't say the individual's name, but somebody who I worked with here at the Family Youth Roundtable, this individual lost his son because him and his ex were both using narcotics. They were both heavily addicted to methamphetamines. And in one of the text messages, he wrote on there, if I can't see my child, then I'm just going to come kill you all. Right? Boom. Done. You know what I'm saying? He did not mean that. And if you know this guy when he's sober, he is the nicest freaking individual in the world. He was going through some shit. Just like how you were going, I remember how you were like going through a lot of shit. You never said anything near like that, you know what I mean? But how you were just going through some serious stuff in your head, like, dude, like, I'm a black man, I can't do, like, they're not gonna give me my child, like all that. I remember all that shit. And this dude was feeling the same way. He was like, dude, I messed up one time. I'm done forever. Like, you know what I mean? And he really was. it took a lot of hard work on his behalf to get his son. I remember this guy was like, he was sober, 6 months clean. She was still abusing, and she had full custody of the children. He had all this evidence stacked up against her, proving all this shit. She would come to his freaking place, and he was staying at St. Benny de Paul's. She would come to his freaking place and irritate, like, you know, pick on him or stand with their child in front of their place. And he got smart. He said, you know what, instead of reacting to this, I'm just gonna start taking pictures of her.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Boom, she's right here in front of my place. She's calling my window. Like, you know what I mean? And so they started saying, okay, yes, what you did, sir, was wrong. Right? But we understand that it was done out of, like, you did it out of emotion. So now let's give you this program through child welfare, you know, to do these classes. And you know what? The classes that they, like, you, if you live in downtown and they make you go to classes in Lakeside, that's bullshit. That's really messed up. It's pretty messed up as a community that we couldn't figure out how to put more of these mandatory programs in more convenient locations for people. But this man did it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I personally feel like they do that to kind of test the will of a man, to see how far you will go in order to get, you know what I'm saying, to get the result you ideally want. It's wrong.
He had something pretty important. How you conduct yourself around your child is going to play a big role. See, I didn't have the drug issues or things like that. It was just verbal exchanges between me and the other parent. So, but that does come up in the report if you drank alcohol around the kid, which at the time I was drinking. So in my court order, it said I am not allowed to drink alcohol 24 hours prior to getting my daughter. So that was one of the obligations. So, hey, it kind of helped me out because, I could have went down that road and said some things I would have regretted. You know, being intoxicated around a kid, that's not probably the best thing to do because you're making irrational decisions. So, you know, it was, hey, even if these allegations are not true, you know what? This is in the court order. So now if they were to come to my house and I'm intoxicated with my daughter being there, then I could have been in the same predicament going through a program, fighting to get my daughter back. First thing I did was start the whole court case, and I think that was one of the best decisions I made. Is I went and said, okay, we ain't together. Let me go get some custody. Oh, you don't need to do all that. Oh, yes, we do. Because things change, you know. So it can go both ways. So the best thing you can do is watch what you say.
That's so cool, man. Like, hearing you say that right now is so cool. I remember talking to you back then, man, when this first situation was going on. I was telling you, you got to file. You got to be the first to file. Same thing I tell you, you got to be the very first one to file. And you were very reluctant. You know what I'm saying? Because same thing I did with my ex. You know what I'm saying? You were hoping you could settle it amongst yourselves. But then you made that step. You know what I'm saying? And because you made that first step and did that, things kind of got put in your favor a little bit more, or they listened to you first. You know what I'm saying?
They definitely did. I mean, like I said, now I got 50% custody, and every time I went back and asked for my custody, I got it. You know, I started off with only 30% because I worked a job where my schedule switched around all the time. It wasn't that I couldn't take on the 50, and it wasn't oh no, he can't have 30. You know, I got it on my days off. So that's what I'm saying. As a father, you signed that birth certificate, you pay that child support, you got rights. They can't just take your money and say, nah, you can't see your kid. Come on now. But I was in the same situation. I can't sit here and fool myself. I worried. I stayed up late researching cases like, man, she's going to take my kid away. My dad wasn't there for me, so that was the last thing I wanted for my daughter, was for me not to be in her life, you know? So I'm like, man, that's when I was like, yo, maybe I should become a lawyer for other men that's going through the same thing because they seem to be so favoritism towards the women. And I'm like, word, for real? Like, y'all treating me like I'm doing something wrong and I'm just trying to be in my daughter's life. Like, you know, and that is what hurt me, because I go in front of the judge, even though on the paper, you know, the mediator says all these good things, they still questioning me. about what goes on in my household. There has never been a time and period where my daughter didn't have a shelter or a roof over her head, but my ex did move around from place to place to place. And grandma, you know, her mom was watching my daughter. But even when we went to court, still child support and everything else. So I wish I could say it's easy. It's not. But you just have to know in your heart, why are you doing this?
Yes.
It's not about her, the ex. It's about you. And you want to be in that child's life because you are just as important as that other parent.
Right.
2 parents is better than 1. 2 co-parenting parents is awesome.
Right.
You know, but if you can't be co-parenting like
you
that,
get one out of the
cordial,
2.
you know, be cordial when you see each other. Don't say nothing. I went almost 2 years only texting and emailing because we couldn't verbally speak. That's how bad things got, you know. But I'd say at the end of the day, when I learned to just, all right, Will, take your emotions out of this. Keep it about the child. You know, the mom's gonna do what she's gonna do. That child is only getting older. And then when you take into consideration when you were 7, 6, 5, man, you was a pretty smart kid. You could tell which parent or who was doing what. You know, so I said, you know what, this little girl is only getting older.
Right.
So I better get my act together before I do something or say something or act up. And now, you know, she's coming to visit me behind bars over something that simple.
Right.
You know, you don't want to let me see you. I'm gonna come to your house,
Yeah.
bang on your door. Now they call it trespassing. It wouldn't have been trespassing if it was the other way around. It would have been a concerned parent coming to check on their kid. But you don't have that same issue. So you gotta watch your moves. You can. Another thing I started doing that helped me, I wrote long texts and deleted them. You know what I mean? I said everything I wanted to say without sending it. Don't press that send button. Leave the text. Leave it as a draft. If you wake up tomorrow and you feel the same way, then send it. If you don't, delete it.
Yeah.
It ain't worth it. At the end of the day, it's not gonna solve anything anyway.
Right.
If it ain't about that little that child, you know. So yeah, man, now I got all worked up. Like,
Hey, let me ask you a question. Well, coming from growing up with in an absent father home, when you found out you were gonna be a father for the first time, what is the emotions that went through you?
Am I gonna be a good father? Am I gonna be around? Am I gonna get locked up for doing something I ain't doing, not be in my child's life? I'm gonna be the best father. I am gonna be around. I will stay in her life no matter what. So I had the good side and the bad side, and I remember having a lot of emotions. Remembering I had all these questions I wanted to ask a male that a female couldn't tell me.
Right.
You know, or my mom did marry another gentleman, but we was never on the same page, and I never, until I got grown, I finally realized everything he did was to help me make it in this world.
When you were younger,
when I was younger, I was like, nah,
who's the alpha male?
All you do is yell at me. You tell me I ain't no good. You don't never tell me anything positive. So I was like, if this is what a dad is like, man, forget you.
Right.
I don't need no dad. But I knew going out here on the streets, you start running into older males, gang members, and all that. They want to play that role. Yeah. I'll be a big homie. I got your back, man. We love you. It's all good until you dead or in jail. That ain't all good. So.
Until you say no, you don't want to do something.
There you go. I ain't gonna lie, man. When my daughter came, I had so many thoughts running through my mind, and it kept going back to the same exact line that I used over and over and over again. Just stay in that child's life, and it'll work itself out. Because there was times I wanted to leave. You're talking about I went up against my ex and her mom in court. I had baby mama drama. So I didn't have no family out here. Yeah. She got her family, her parents,
That's like my situation.
So you know what? That only made me a stronger person and more understanding. And our last court date, I told her, I forgive you. I forgive you for everything. I forgive you. Because that helped me move on and not hold that grudge or that attachment from all that anger and emotion that I felt. And you know what? all that energy, I said, I'm gonna love my daughter even more. How about that?
Right.
You say I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Guess what? I'm gonna love my daughter harder.
Kill him with kindness.
Yes, exactly. You can't break that bond. When the day that's vivid in my mind is the day that after all these court battles and whatever, and I went to drop my daughter off to my ex, and my daughter says, "No, I want to stay with daddy." You know, I want to go back with daddy. Word? Hell yeah, it paid off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not bad. Right.
So
Best words, right?
best words ever.
Yeah.
I love you, daddy.
Can't wait.
I'm grateful you in my life. I don't know what I would do without you, daddy.
Right.
Like, man, a kid tell you that? That hits home.
Right.
You know, you turn over and get a kiss on the cheek, and they just stand in your eyes. Unconditional love, by the way.
Right.
You know, man, I wouldn't trade that for nothing. So now I could be out here doing my own thing, not in that child's life, and she got another man in her life beating her, or things like that. That went to my mind when I wanted to leave because things got hard, you know. But I'm like, is this why my dad left? Was things too hard? You know, was he not willing to stick it out? You know, it's like, man, all the emotions I felt, I'm staying.
Right.
Do you know, and this is
awesome.
A little bit off topic, but do you know, was your dad also in an absent father home, or you not?
You know, I'm not for sure. I know he I don't know if he is currently, but I know one of the biggest things was he was heavy into alcohol.
Right.
So thanks, Pops. I'm good now, but yeah, man, it took some years. Yeah, I'm not for sure, but I remember my last conversation with him. I was 7 years old, and he floated in and out of my life from the baby, so I never really knew him. Every time he came around, he threw me like $15, and then I got my ass whooped. So I'm like, word, like I'm confused.
Pay me to kick back.
Yeah. So then I remember his day. He was like, "Oh, that's Will's dad," and I said, "Man, that ain't my dad," and he heard me. So he said, "Do you want me to be your daddy or not?" And I said, "Nah, man. Last time I seen him." Now, you ain't got the heart to listen to a 5-year-old tell you that, or 7-year-old tell you that. I'm thinking, damn, my daughter's that age.
Right.
She say some silly things to me sometimes when I don't give her way.
Right.
But I ain't never been absent.
Right.
You know, I ain't never come in and out. I've been there.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I took on that guilt for some time. Like, damn, did I really just word?
Yeah.
But nah, man, everybody's responsible for their own actions. If he wanted to stick around, he would have stuck around.
Yeah, so he wanted to hear what you said. You know what I'm saying?
True. That's how the situation with my father was. He didn't have a really good relationship with his dad and his father, even when my grandfather was going through a particular medical issue and an illness. My father still had issues communicating with him even through his illness. So that just kind of showed like the dynamics of their relationship. Like even with him, basically, my grandfather being basically on his deathbed, it was hard for my father to still go to him and talk to him like a father. And I think that that stubbornness kind of spilled over into my relationship with my dad. It's like my father is still alive and I talk to him about a lot of things, but it's hard for me to naturally be inclined to go to him for certain things that I will go to other men for and other people for as a father figure, because I feel like instead of him teaching me certain things like a father should teach a son, like all of these life lessons and things that I would love to talk to him about, I feel like I kind of have to learn them the hard way, and not everybody's like, "Oh, look at you did this," or "Oh, look at you and did that." And I'm so sick of like the Black community. And I'm gonna say this because I feel like it happens a lot in our community. You know, people can listen and have their own opinions, but just from my own truth, because I always speak from my own truth. I'm sick of the Black community making babies, and we're having all these children. Nobody's taking up the time necessary to teach the kids the simple things, the social skills, the diet, how do you treat people, what to look for, what not to look for, how to behave, how not to behave. We're not talking and communicating to our kids anymore. And then when our kids go out in the streets and they get caught up and they deal with it, they have to suffer consequences for something we didn't teach them. They were pointing fingers at them. I'm like, "Oh, see, I told you you weren't gonna be shit. Oh, I told you." Well, if you would have sat your ass down with your kids and one-on-one, and you talk to them at the dinner table, whether you get a mother in the house or a dad in the house, if you just would have sat and just talk to your kids, like you'll be surprised, like how much of how far conversation goes. There's people who are in their 40s who still remember the conversations they had with their dad and the long talks they had with their mother. But we're on the topic of fatherhood, but there are men who still remember the conversations. I have a book called Memorable Quotes from
Unfortunately,
Fathers.
A lot of mothers are fathers too.
Yeah, mothers are fathers too, right? But just for the sake of fatherhood, because we're already a dying species. So just talking about the fathers that are around, there are people who will always keep those conversations forever, even if they just saw their dad for one day. And if you have a dad who's sitting around 30 minutes from you, he's not even willing to come to you and talk to you about girls and hey, this is what you do. If you're gonna talk to a lady, this is the type of things that you look for, and this is what you don't look for. But no, we're just letting our kids go do whatever the hell they want to do. And then when they come up with 2-3 baby mamas, oh well. We got to get back to actually communicating and talking about the things that we don't want to communicate, so that way we're just not pointing fingers at our babies and our kids for something that they didn't know about really in the first place.
And I think that's one of the, because next week we're going to talk to this dude, Ruben Torres, who has been on the show before, but he's going to come in and join us on our fatherhood series and kind of talk about fatherhood from the Hispanic culture. Because I think that's what really is important for us to do on this series, is kind of like get each culture and see the differences between the cultures. Because in the Hispanic community, you have, and I'm not trying to put no judgment on nobody, but you have fathers who are actually in their children's lives, you know what I'm saying? But almost all the time they're there, but they're not there. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because they're too busy kicking it with their homies, or they're too busy, drinking, or they're too busy doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, and when the kid becomes a certain age and the kid can join the circle, you know what I'm saying? But like, that just feels weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Join the circle. It's like, man, my kids better not ever be hanging out with me and you at Smitty's house, Will. Like, goddamn.
But on the same topic, I also believe that media plays a big role in all that we're talking about. Because even as a black male, all my black friends are in their child's lives. Not one of them are outside of their child's life. But what do we highlight? We highlight the negative of the black community, period. So it's not just the fatherhood. I mean, they say it's more black men in jail than there is in college. And then how many people actually go look up the statistics behind that? Because that's not true. Right. There's more black males in college than there are in jail. Number two, there are a lot of black men in their child's lives, but we running off of what the media says are the stereotype, and I understand and I see and I get it, because I do see the single moms. But I go put facts behind the things that I say and talk about, because without that, you just throwing you're dumbing down other people. Not you, Red. You say you speak your own truth. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general.
But I kind of feel like I put my foot in my mouth.
No, you did it.
I'm only speaking from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking Will's truth.
Because you got to remember, his circle of friends,
is different than
Will's, yeah.
So and part of that is me maturing. I actually have adapted myself and put myself into a new circle.
Exactly my point.
Around the people that I choose to be like, or even care to give up my time to. So how the hell do I look being in my daughter's life and some dude that I'm hanging around with that's not in his daughter's life talking about, oh man, nah, I'm gonna party, do my thing. You gonna roll? Nah, man, got my daughter tonight. Oh man, you whack.
Right.
Nah, homie, actually you whack.
Right.
So I wouldn't even put myself in that situation,
This is a great conversation.
Yeah, man, but I'm just saying though, but that's a stereotype, black people can dance, we eat chicken, we all play sports,
right.
I read books a lot. It's only about 3 to 10% of Americans that read books. But we don't throw those statistics. We don't throw those statistics that we have intellectual conversations that don't involve Jordans or the next hottest clothing line that's coming out. The hell, I don't want to talk to another broke brother about making money. I'm sorry. I want to talk to a brother that's doing something, or a man that's doing something about doing that too. So I need to talk to other men who are being parents to help me become a better parent.
Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, don't matter.
And that's going to help me turn that curve and change that statistic or the way that stereotype that everybody talks about that black men ain't in their child's life. Because I'm like, where? I understand it though. I'm not blind. I see it. You know, there are a lot of them that's not in their child's life, but I'm gonna keep my world open to I am and they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna feed that positive side and not the negative. You know.
Right.
But that's just me and Will's world.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I was saying that too. I appreciate that because there's really a different aspect of looking at the same thing. Like even just, and this is just echoing up what you're saying, and still staying true to myself. Like I don't believe, like you said, like all the black community is like this because they aren't. But this is just speaking from my experiences in Detroit, and like you have so many people on my neighborhood, and like I said, this is just my relative experiences because there are a lot of great fathers, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, who are in their parents' life. And you're right, like I can't highlight the ones that aren't over the ones that are, but it's just, you know, I still want to speak to the ones who aren't because I feel like we've come too far as a people. And this is just me speaking for the black community. You have too many examples of great black men who are in their kids' life, and black women who are struggling and trying really hard to play the role of a father and a mother. You have so many examples for so many years. I feel like there's no excuse now. Like I feel like you have so many resources. You have the internet. You have all these different tools. You have all these different funding sources. You have free legal assistance now. You have workshops now available. People were in the process of creating workshops. You have so many different resources that our parents never had, you know, when it comes to like taking care of their kids. They were all on their own. So it's like when I see these younger people who are just so infatuated with just making baby after baby after baby after baby and just being good with that, but not really just being a father figure. I have a problem with that. And not to speak to that particular population, you know, you have to educate yourself as a man first before you can educate or help anybody else with anything. If you don't have any knowledge, self-knowledge about yourself and about your goals and your aspirations and what you want out of this life, you making kids is not going to get you any closer to the goal, period. And I think us having this radio show and having you on was such an amazing experience because you gave me a whole another perspective of looking at my situation, because being a black man going through the court system right now, which I can't speak too much of, I had nothing but negative thoughts. Like, it's not going to work out for me. I'm a black dude. Even though I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, as soon as I show up in this court, they're going to be looking for every reason they can to bag me, is what I was thinking. She's a female. She's going to automatically learn her rights. I don't know. You know, I lost my temper a couple times in text messages. These are things that people think about when you have a relationship that's on the rocks and you're going to court. You're thinking, as a man, I'm fucking screwed. You know, and to have somebody who has actually been through the process and who came out successful and has their child and has their daughter, and they're like, look, man, even if, you know, you might be at fault for being human, you're still not going to lose your child. You know, I think that's like the best thing a father could ever hear, you know, because that's the reason that so many men don't go to court, is because we're scared of losing our kids. So when you can actually hear somebody say, look, yeah, you know you were wrong for losing your temper, because we always automatically assume whenever we do this wrong on the way to court, we're going to lose our kids, right? But it's kind of refreshing, not that to perpetrate that for those who are listening, but it's okay to be human, you know, it's okay to be human and to have emotions and to have feelings, because you don't necessarily got to curse her out or you curse him out or say whatever you want to say negatively to make yourself feel better. But it's good to have an outlet to get that content out of you, so that way it doesn't define you. So for you to say that what you said, everything that you're saying is just perfect. You know, it's really refreshing and really a load off of my shoulders going through the court process myself, and hopefully for anybody else who's listening as well.
Well, just to kind of add to that, you know, to talk about the breaking stereotypes and stuff like that. If you look at, if we rewind this session, if you rewind this discussion about 20 minutes, you know, or actually about 40 minutes back, and we listened to when Will first started talking, that's exactly what he's, you know, I don't know if he spoke that without really realizing what he was saying, but he had thoughts of, you know, do I just leave? You know what I'm saying? Do I just let this be? And then what did he do? He educated himself. He looked for resources. He took my advice and hit up Adam from the Pops program, and you know, and took whatever information he got from there and freaking flew with it. You know what I'm saying? Went to the library and read up on shit. Went on the internet, researched every little thing he could. Went to the Hall of Justice, looked at other cases. Like, you know, just taking initiative to make sure that you're not going to end up being one of those stereotypes. that's really all it takes is a little effort. And I think that's what we want to teach people, you know, maybe through this conversation, but through awareness programs in our community, is that nothing comes easy.
Right.
Nothing comes easy. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take effort to get what you want in life. You know what I'm saying? Now, you can walk away, and guess what? 10 years from now, you're going to have regrets. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see a picture of your fucking child on Facebook, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I missed so much.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And, you know, you're gonna have a pity party for yourself. Right. Or you could be like, dang, I can't believe she's this old right now. Like, oh my God, like, I remember when she was this little. Like, right. You know what I mean? So the conversation's going to be the same, but the outcome could be different. You know what I'm saying?
This is a point. Wow.
But I mean, for me, I'm glad I came on the show, and I haven't looked at my notes not once.
Right. I was gonna say that. I was like, man, you just been blazing through on fire. I didn't even look at one time.
It becomes a past memory.
Right.
You know, all the heartache and all the nights of wonder. But if I had to break down the steps I took, I mean, exactly what you just said was, I'm not going to let this happen. I didn't want to become a statistic. I didn't know either. You know, I didn't know. I was like, where they going to let her just take my kid like that? You know,
right.
And
it was all new for you.
It was. And I was about 25 years old. So I was like, man, this is one of the biggest challenges in my life. But I also remember the first day my daughter was born and looking into her eyes.
Right.
Like, where? I created that.
Right.
I created that. You can't give it back. Once it comes into play, you don't give a child back.
Right.
So, you know, and then, like I said, all these memories and everything, all the emotions went through me. And, man, the best thing to do, too, is stay away from negative people. Anybody that got anything negative to say about what you're doing.
Right.
You know, anyone tells you, nah, bro, just walk away. You're like, all right, have a good day.
Right.
You know, that's who you need to walk away from.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say that because when they said that, peace.
You know, you need to be around people that's going to support you, because think about it, there was more men who got to hear conversations like this. Yeah. They would not be walking away. I don't look at the man like that of, you know, oh, he's just a bad person or this and that. A lot of people ain't educated. They don't know. And the law has not been friendly in any aspect for people that have some color, you know. Right. But in this case, fathers, period.
Yeah, fathers, period. Doesn't matter the color of your skin.
And it's because
it actually matters your bank account.
There you go. Women being considered the caregivers, you know, but men can be just as good, if not better, parents.
Right.
So for me, you got to stick it through. You got to know why you're doing it. It can't be no revenge stuff that'll show up. Right. You know, because then you're gonna be like, oh, this kid getting on my nerves.
Right.
So actually, you can just keep them.
But hey, in another angle though, it's kind of like society, the court systems and everything is kind of setting up the statistics. You know what I'm saying? Like what you were talking about, because you know, me and Will have been through this, and we see that the system is set up for men to fail. You know what I'm saying? It pretty much is. I don't give a shit what they tell us.
Right.
It's set up for men to fail. You know what I'm saying? When I'm not gonna remember the name of this paper, but I remember Adam actually was showing me this paper not too long ago. It was a paper from Child Welfare Services, and it was talking about like, okay, if we take the baby away from the mother, who's the next in line? Who is next in line?
It should be the father.
Okay, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? The next in line will be the grandmother, and then the next in line after that will be your mother. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be the father's mother. You know what I mean? And then after that, it'll be the grandparents. So your grandma. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe they'll give you a call if everyone else says no.
Right.
Like, you know, you not see how messed up that is? It's like they're saying straight up, it needs to be a woman taking care of raising children.
Right.
Men can't do it.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it pisses me off. It really does. And I love women. Like I was raised with my grandmother.
I think we all do.
You know, because these are one of the situations, man, that will honestly make you temporarily hate women. You're like, man, they got all the power. They got my daughter. I've been there. I'm only speaking from experience. People don't judge me. But you can judge me if you want. It doesn't matter. But I'm still going to stay to my truth. You do have those moments where you're like, man, it sucks to be a man right now.
Yeah,
The woman,
yeah.
that's my daughter. She's keeping her from me. The court, you know, not saying the court necessarily favors her, but that's what you think in your mind. So you're like, the court is going to favor her. She's going to win because she, you know, she's the mother. So it's one of those situations that really make you I'm not going to say hate, it's a strong one, but you really get to a moment where you're like, I don't want nothing to do anymore with that. I don't want any more anything. But like Will was saying, like you were saying, that's when it goes back to the education. Once you start reading the education and learning the case histories, when you start learning the stipulations, the policies, the different things that are in place for fathers, the groups and the resources that are available, it gives you that much more confidence going in the court compared to if you don't have that. But I'm not gonna lie, it pisses me off, man. Even with the knowledge, it really does.
I gotta admit, man, right now because this is the bad part about not having questions ready to go when we're just doing an organic discussion. Because I already know me and you could talk forever. Me and you could talk forever. The three of us will probably be here. We'll probably really test MAXLR's 8 hour window. But we are coming up to the top of the hour. I do want to cut this conversation short for right now, but I do think it's important for us to get back together again. How do you feel about that, man?
I'm definitely down.
Yeah, for sure. We can have like a part 2 discussion.
Yeah, we need to.
Really good.
Personally, I don't think we covered a lot of all the things we want to cover.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think we talked a lot about mediation, which is key. And I think that's what we should end up really renaming this session, so we can actually talk about, you know, let people hear this part for the mediation part and maybe chop up the rest of the interview for something else.
Great intro for Will.
Yeah,
great intro.
This was a good one, man.
You don't know, now you know, people.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let you go. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode just as much as we did. Women, please do not take offense to the things that we are saying in this discussion here today, because we're not, it's nothing personal to you. You know damn well you've done some things wrong, and you know, when it came to the child custody battle, you know, you got upset, you did some things you're not very proud of. It's all good. We did it too. And the best thing we can do from this is just learn and grow. And not take offense to anything that anybody says in this conversation. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys to tune in tomorrow. We're going to have back-to-back conversations going on tomorrow on thrivecast.net. Forgive me for not remembering off the top of my head the individual's names, but we're going to have 2 youth coming in here to share their lived experience, going through the mental health systems. And other ones, you're going to be talking about going through the foster care system and how it was when they aged out. So it's going to be some really good conversations going on here tomorrow on thrivecast.net. I really hope you tune in with us and check it out. If you have any questions about this show or would like to, you know, let us know something that we should discuss the next time all 3 of us get together, please go to thrivecast.net/guest. And write it in the subject line. Just type in Fatherhood Series, and I'll know exactly where to go or where you're going with this. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you have a great day. Final words, gentlemen.
Thank you. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. I really
it is nighttime, huh? I'm not used to doing this.
Will, thanks for coming, man. Really appreciate it. Awesome conversation, man.
Coming and giving a different perspective. And,
great.
I mean, just being on something that's positive. I love the positive flow and the energy level here. So, fathers and mothers, co-parent, please.
Co-parent, man.
Right.
Hey, next time you come in, Will, you gonna bless us with some poetry or?
Hey, you know what? I can do that.
All right,
man.
It's got a little sweaty, I guess.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great night.
That was a good show, man.
Damn, that was very good.
I would actually like to see that show.